What's up, YouTube? This is Davian here. I'm coming at you with another video. Today we're going to talk about the death of the US dollar and the death of the world reserve currency and the death of the petrodollar. A couple things are dying in the United States. This country, I don't think we're going to win World War III. World War III has already started, if you haven't already known. Tune in. Started back on February 24th, 2022. We're going to show you a couple things. We're going to bring you guys in tune. You guys see what's happening. Oh, wrong way. Come over here. So, first thing I want to start you guys off with, if you don't know what a petrodollar is, it's something you need to know to understand this video. Because this petrodollar is going to go inside to the rest of the video. Alright, so what is a petrodollar? The US dollar is the currency used most to purchase oil because oil has such a high level of demand. Some oil exporting countries could build up so many dollars they couldn't spend them all. These dollars were historically called petrodollars. And the term petrodollar now refers to the US dollar used by any country to purchase oil from any oil exporting nation. So, what is a petrodollar? The US petrodollar is the standard used to pay for oil globally, prompted by an agreement between the United States and Saudi Arabia in 1945. This agreement led to other oil exporting countries accepting as dollars payments for oil, and this relation between the dollar and oil began. So if you don't know when this started, it started with the Bretton Woods Agreement right here. So some exporting nations has so much oil in accumulation in such large amounts, US dollars couldn't spend them all. If the country accepting dollars as a payment couldn't spend them all, they could effectively be removed from circulation. These dollars are countries could not spend came to be known as petrodollars. So a lot of countries bought these dollars, they used to get oil, and then they got overloaded with oil. Here's what they don't tell you in the article that happens with the extra dollars. Those extra dollars that countries have, that Saudi Arabia has on demand, it gets reinvested into the United States in form of the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. They take those dollars, they buy the S&P 500, and then they get a constant 2% in return. And then that country becomes more wealthy off of the US dollar. That's what happens with the extra dollars. But let's keep reading. Go here. Petrodollar came to existence following the elimination of the gold standard after World War II. So, after World War, the elimination of the gold standard happened in 1971 with Richard Nixon. But after World War II, the United States became held the world's most supply of gold. It also redeemed any US dollar for its value of gold in other currencies pegged, if other currencies peg their currency to the dollar. So we convinced the rest of the world, hey, we have the most gold. You peg your currencies to ours is pegged to the gold, and we're all good. Other countries signed on the deal, and the deal at 1945 Bretton Woods Conference. It is established the United States dollar as the world reserve currency. World reserve currency, here we go. On February 14, 1945, FDR initiated an alliance with Saudi Arabia. When he met with Saudi King Abdul Aziz, the United States built an airfield in Dhahran and in return for military business training. This allowance was so critical that it survived subsequent years of difference of opinions over the Arab-Israeli conflict. In 1971, the U.S. stagflation pumped U.S. runs on the dollar. Many countries asked to redeem the U.S. dollars for gold. People were giving up faith in the U.S. economy when the U.S. economy stopped producing. So they asked, hey, here's our dollars. Give us the gold you promised us. And to protect the remaining U.S. gold reserve, Richard Nixon removed the dollar from the gold standard. So he said, hey, you want to get your gold from us? Dollar's not worth gold anymore. Go fuck yourself, essentially. As a result, the dollar plummeted in value, which also helped the U.S. economy as export values also decreased. So our dollar we hit a recession pretty much. Our dollar lost a ton of value back in 1971. I can actually pull it up for you. Let's go back to this, man. I love the internet. Trading, let's do trading view. See if they show me, let's look at the DXY. Let's look at it for today. Let's look at it for like 1971, see what it did. DXY. There's the currency index for the dollar. Luna, stop doing that. All right, so we're gonna zoom out a couple years. We're going all time. All right, so right here, this is what we're looking at, 1971. We started calculating it right in the 1960s. 1971, Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard. I believe it was like in November. Then right here, our dollar fucking plummeted. Our dollar was worth, $1.20. But this is we're talking about stagflation. The dollar wasn't really doing anything, and then 1970s it actually started going down as the United States started to experience inflation. There were too many dollars in circulation, so everything was really cheap at first, but then everything kind of went up. It's kind of like what's happening right now. We printed a ton of dollars, everything became cheap because everybody had dollars. Now everybody has dollars, and everything's become more expensive. Repeating the cycle. So right here takes us off the gold standard, falls tremendously. You go from it was quite a freaking drop. It was 30% right there. Let me see. Yeah. Anyways, go back over here. So, as a result of the plummeting dollar, dollar falling hurt oil exporting countries because the contract was pinned to U.S. dollars. So Saudi Arabia was kind of getting screwed at this time. They're like, shit, our dollar, we have to sell oil in dollars, so we've been doing it. Their oil reserve dropped along with the dollar. The cost of imports and domination of other currencies increased. And at 73, Nixon asked Congress for leading Israel because they want to fight against Israel, and it keeps going. That's kind of all I wanted to show you in here. The reason I bring this up is because of the BRICS. If you don't know what the BRICS are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These 5 countries have declared that they are no longer to be part of the world reserve currency of the United States. They are going to combine their own currencies, and they're going to create a new currency of just their dollars. News about this again is spreading because 3 more nations are looking to join. It's crazy. So Saudi Arabia, which is fucking our partner since the end of World War II, that same Saudi Arabia is looking to join their side. This is the video that came out a little while ago, and it's freaking ridiculous. When I saw this thing came out, I didn't even know it was real. Joe Biden, let's say Saudi Arabia video. This video right here is Saudi Arabia making fun of the United States, making fun of us, in front of our president. Let's go skip. Here we go. This one right here. This is not SNL.
Thank you very much. Today, we're going to talk about the crisis in Spain. Yeah, we're going to talk about the crisis in Africa. Russia. And I want to talk about the president of Russia, Putin. Putin, listen to me. I have a very important message to you. The message is, and the president of China, I didn't finish Russia. Thank you to correct me, First Lady. Thank you very much. God bless you, and God bless.
Thank you all. Hallelujah. Clap to your president. Clap to your president right now.
So anyways, yeah, that's the video Saudi Arabia put out, making fun of Joe Biden. Our national relationship between that country is severed. Joe Biden actually went to Saudi Arabia not too long ago. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Joe Biden goes to, let's say, he couldn't save that relationship. It was him actually going to Saudi Arabia trying to save the relationship. And we all know how well that trip was even going to go. Before he even went there, I don't know why he even went there. That shit was just an embarrassment to our nation, embarrassment to the United States. That shit was really just sad.
Any other European country, nor he went to Mexico. Although if you see, most of the time, these countries are the first.
Yeah. So, that was freaking sad. He should have went there a while ago. He didn't go soon enough. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt. These 3 countries will be looking like the next ones to join. But we already have news stories that Iran and Argentina have already applied for membership in late June. They applied for membership last month. Iran and Argentina. They're leaving the United States as the world reserve currency. This is no longer going to be the world reserve currency. Our currency is going to fall. This is going to be unparalleled to anything the United States has ever experienced before. Oh, in other news, yeah, Saudi Arabia is actually planning to build a 75-mile long skyscraper. So it costs $1 trillion. It's going to be 1,600 feet in the sky, nearly 150 stories, and it's going to run for 75 fucking miles. The price tag is a fucking $1 trillion, a jaw-dropping $1 trillion. This is what it looks like. It's insane. It looks beautiful. Honestly, yo, if Saudi Arabia builds it, I want to visit. Like, so why not? Look at this thing. It's like they're building a freaking city. They're building a whole city in the desert. Like, yo, a city cannot exist here, but we're going to build a skyscraper so it can exist here. This is what it's going to look like. They're going to build a football field, a soccer field in the middle. Those are all apartments and all people living and businesses and everything. There's going to be it's going to be a carless city. It's going to be a train that takes you through the whole thing. There's also going to be a high-speed trail. It's going to be a yacht marina and huge facilities. All right, one sec, babe. I got you. In other news, yo, the Russian economy is doing fucking great right now. Yo, Russia, the United States had to do a 75-point basic hike today. If you watch my other video, the United States actually did a basic hike today. Let me see if I can go to my YouTube video. What's up, doggy? What's up? You gotta go bathroom? Okay, I know you gotta go bathroom. Give me 1 second. We'll go out in a second, okay? Okay. Channel. And if you go to my other video today, you see that, you know, they did a basic hike. I already did a video on this one. Anyways, let's go back over here. Yo, as the United States raises interest rates, Russia is cutting interest rates as their inflation and the value of their dollar has skyrocketed and has become more valuable than it has been in a very long time. They actually cut their basic points by 1.5%. Meanwhile, we raised it by 0.75% over here. Their interest rates went from 9% to 8%, citing that they're actually slowing down in annual inflation rates. If you look on the DXY, let's go over here. We're gonna compare the USD versus the ruble. Or I have it in my favorites. Here, USD versus the ruble. Wow, let's go up here. You feel chart. We're gonna track it just. What's up, Luna? All right, hold on, guys. All right, so this is when the war actually started. Before the war started, inflation. I mean, the value of the Russian ruble. The value of the Russian ruble was. Well, let's go on a different chart. I don't want to see the all-time chart. Let's do a one-year chart. Okay, here we go. That's better. So it was around 70, 77. Russian rubles for $1 US. Then after the war, after Biden declared that nobody could trade with Russia, it immediately plummeted their currency, and this is when Biden was all happy. You know, March 7th, they're like, oh, the currency went up to 133, almost 152 on the peak. Then Russia had the brilliant idea. It's like, yo, fuck the U.S. government. Let's tell nobody they can buy nothing from us unless they're paying in the Russian ruble. Portugal, Spain, France, Germany, Poland, Italy, all these European countries, if they want to buy oil and natural gas from Russia, well, now they need rubles. They don't want dollars anymore. They stopped accepting it. You're like, yo, we don't want that. Then what happened? All the countries were like, oh shit, we need rubles to buy shit? Fuck, let's go get some rubles. And then boom, 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 boom. Russian economy has been booming ever since. This is the smartest move Putin's ever made. All the way down to here, boom, they went back to their regular level. It took less than a month. Less than a month, their dollar returned to normal. And now their economy is doing even better as it goes down all the way over here. Now, from 77 to 59, that's how much value they've gained in the Russian economy. All right, let's get off of this one. Leave this. There's one more story I wanted to show you guys. So right now, the G7. The reason I want to bring this up. On the G7, these are 7 nations that make up the G7. It used to be the G8, but Russia left a while ago. Russia left, I think it was back in 2008. Here at G8. From 1997 to 2014. Russia was added in 97, pretty much after the Cold War happened and things kind of got better between our 2 countries. Then became known as the G8. In 2012 is when Russia left. They like, no, we don't want to be a part of the G8 anymore, and they left the G8 and we came back to the G7. Anyways, the 7 countries that make up the G7 are France, Germany, Italy, Japan, United Kingdom, and the United States. The 7th country is the EU. So all the countries that make up the EU, they all get represented in part of the G7. All right. So right now we have the G7 versus the BRICS, which is looking like they're about to add a few more partners. But the big thing about the G7, the reason why I bring it up, is because one of the people in the G7, the United Nations. Let's go to YouTube. Boris Johnson. Met with South Africa. And the important thing about this is the date and timing of it. This happened on June 27th. On June 26th, the United States was meeting with Saudi Arabia. Boris Johnson claimed that he couldn't go to the G7 because he had COVID. That the next day, he's here shaking hands with, who's this guy? Cyril Ramaphosa. He's the president of South Africa. So the British are looking like they're going to join their side if you think that Boris Johnson is leading that country and going in that direction. Now, since then, Boris Johnson has announced that he is doing a resignation. However, the way the British Parliament is set up is that there's a bunch of holidays set up in the summertime. So he didn't actually get out as to resigning. The resigning process in British is not like, oh, I quit and you just leave. No, it's like a lengthier process. And they actually had to get approved by a bunch of the Parliament. Parliament didn't do it in time, and it's actually being delayed. But if Boris Johnson and the United Kingdom were going on the side of the BRICS and going against the United States, you can see why the United States is literally dying from every single angle. We have no partners. We have nobody on our side. All the other nations are turning against us. And Joe Biden is not really leading this nation, as you can see that by the way that Saudi Arabia is making fun of us. That's kind of it. That's what I got for you guys today. It's nothing really else. Oh, one more thing before I go. I want to take you back to a time, the last time that another leader tried to get off of the gold standard. Get off of the United States dollar and create another reserve gold standard. And that was when Gaddafi tried to do that himself. Now, Gaddafi was the president. If you don't know about him, he was the president of Libya. He died on October 20th, 2011. Now, who killed him? The United States did. Obama, Hillary Clinton. They killed Gaddafi. It's not a secret. It's out there. We claimed it back in 2011 when it happened. We claimed it. The reason why we did this was because of what Gaddafi was trying to do. Gaddafi, when he took over Libya, he removed the U.S. and the British military bases from Libya in 1970. He expelled most members of the native Italy and Jewish communities from Libya in the same year. In 1973, he nationalized all the foreign-owned petroleum assets in the country. So all the other countries who, let's say if the United States, will use the Rockefellers, for example. If John D. Rockefeller had an oil well in Libya, well, it doesn't belong to John D. Rockefeller no more. Now it belongs to Gaddafi in Libya in the country. He nationalized the assets. That's what Russia did when they were communism. They nationalized all the assets. All the companies and all the businesses were owned by the country. He also outlawed alcoholic beverages and gambling in accordance with strict law of Islamic principles. Gaddafi became a series of persistent but unsuccessful attempts to unify Libya with other Arab nations. So he tried to combine the other Arab nations all together, and he also was trying to combine a lot of the African nations together. He admittedly opposed the negotiations with Israel and became a long leading figure in the Arab world in rejection with the Egyptian-Israel peace process. He earned a reputation for military adventurism. His government was impacted in several coups and attempts in Egypt and Sudan. All right. Anyways, the reason I'm bringing him up is because he actually tried to in 2009, 2010, 2011. He was actually trying to unify all the African nations. He was leader of the African Union. In February 2009, he was elected chairman of the African Union, and later that year, he gave a speech before the United Nations. A lengthy speech to a copy of the charter. So I actually have a video of that over here of him doing the speech. This is the one in 2009, the one they're referring to. But this guy, I actually want to play you guys a little bit of the speech because the speech is freaking powerful. This guy, like, what he was really talking about. He was talking about the Charter of the United Nations. I'm gonna bring it back to right here.
Those who attended in San Francisco in 1945, they all.
Sorry, I watch everything at 2x speed because, yeah, hour and a half. I want
to participated in the preamble, but they left the articles and the provisions and the established and founded by 3 countries were against the German at the time. The United Nations that we have today is different, but the United Nations it is the countries or the nations that were come together against Germany during the Second World War. These countries constituted or made a council named after Security Councils and gave member states to its own members and granted the veto. We were not present at the time. And the United Nations was tailored according to these 3 countries and wanted from us to wear the clothes or the suit that was tailored against Germany. This is the real substance and contents of the United Nations as it was founded 40 years or 60 years ago. This was happened during the absence of over 165 countries. The ratio is 1 of 8, and one was present and 8 were absent. Those they created or they made the charter, and you know, I have the charter, a copy of it, and once you read the charter of the United Nations, the preamble of the United Nations is different from the provisions and the articles. How this came to existence, those who attended in San Francisco in 1945, they all participated in the preamble, but they left the articles and the provisions and the procedures of the internal procedures of the Security Council, or the so-called Security Councils. They left it to the job of the experts and the countries who are interested, which are the countries who created the Security Councils, which countries came together and united against Germany. The preamble is very tempting, and no one is objecting to the preamble, but everything that came after that is completely in contradictions with the preamble. This is what we have now. This is what we are rejecting, and we shall never continue with it. This came to an end during the Second World War.
This is Gaddafi at the United Nations complaining to the United Nations that the United Nations has lost its way. He is saying to the United Nations that you created a basic point for how we should all operate as nations and how we should all become peaceful and how we should avoid war. Yet a few nations get to make all the rules inside of the United Nations, and they can declare war on whoever they want to, and they can fight other nations without the approval of other countries. That's what this guy is saying.
force unless it is a common interest. This is the preamble which we were happy and we signed and we joined the United Nations because we wanted the charter to be like that. It says that the armed forces only use it when it is a common interest to all nations. But after that, what happened? 65 wars broke out after the establishment of the United Nations and after the establishment of the Security Councils and after this establishment. 65, and the victims are millions more than the victims of the Second World War. Are these wars and the aggressions and the force that was used, the power in the 65 was in the interest of the common interest of all of us? No, it was in the interest of one country or 3 countries or 4 countries or 1 country, but it was not in the interest of all the nations. And we shall come and discuss about the wars, whether these wars broke out was in the interest of 1 country or were in the whole nations. This is in full contradictions and full intervention of the United Nations.
Yeah. So this is him calling out the United Nations on what they're doing. Later in the United Nations, he tried to extend his term as the African Union president, but was denied. So let's go down a little bit more. So on February 28th, the United States had froze 30 billion of Libyan assets linked to Gaddafi. So the same thing they tried to do to Russia, they did to Gaddafi. So the same thing we did to Gaddafi, we tried to do to Russia, because that happened before this one. Sorry. I'll just Google it. So here, so Gaddafi. Go to this website right here. I think I already had it open actually. So why Gaddafi had to go? So this is written by an American, obviously, because African oil and gold challenged the monetary system. As you see, this system is being challenged again today. It was revealed here in the Hillary Clinton emails that she was responsible for the attacks and opening up on Gaddafi. Gaddafi had 143 tons of gold and a similar amount of silver. The gold was accumulated prior to the current state of rebellion, established the Pan-African base on the Libyan golden DR. This is what the United States stopped in 2011. After the economy failed here, we stopped the Africa from getting their own currency off of the dollar standard. A desire to gain a greater share of the Libyan oil production, increase. Yeah. So right now we're seeing this happen all over again. Step on a different stage, on a much different stage. It's happening on a grander scale. So Libya was a little bit of a smaller country, and he didn't really have the connection of all African nations together. These countries are all fed up with the United States. All of them. China's fed up with us. South Africa just doesn't really want to be a part of us. Brazil realizes that the United States isn't the way. India hasn't really been a partner of the United States. Countries that have been a part of the United States, man, you got Japan, you got United Nations, you got United Kingdom, you got a couple of nations, but even some of those are turning against us. You can see over here, man, Boris Johnson on the other side, turning against us. All right, guys, that's all I got for you guys today. Yeah, it's death for the petrodollar. Death for the petrodollar. All right.